Okay. Well, welcome to the Speakers Practice and our Friday Forum, the first for 2014. All the very best to everyone for the new year. Hi, I'm Adrienne McLean, the founder of the Speakers Practice. The Friday Forum is for business people. We discuss many topics and hear how our guests have included speaking to groups as a marketing strategy. Today we are discussing the power of collaboration with two business owners who are collaborating with me to build a business community. John Hill from The Ultimate Life is a mindset specialist and passionate about the psychology of success. Ivan Cunningham of the Training Network is a business and media communication expert. In their business careers, by collaborating with other specialists, they have been able to build business faster. Hi, John and Ivan. How are you going?
Good morning. Good
Hi,
morning, Amy.
Adrienne.
How are you?
Well, thanks. Thank you both of you for attending today and being a part of the Friday Forum. Our first question is, what are the benefits to working with a collaboration rather than just getting on with the job yourself? That's easy to do. What do you think are the benefits, John?
I think firstly, it, it really frees up your time and adds additional resources to your business that weren't necessarily in your business already. So a prime example of this is, say, a digital marketing expert. I've only got 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week.
Yes.
I've got a business to run. I don't necessarily want to be spending 23 of those hours trying to get my digital marketing strategy correct. I go to the people who have been there, who have learnt from the market,
Yes.
and have tried and tested these techniques before. So I think it really allows you to concentrate on what you're good at. I'll give another quick example. My business mentor and the man who's taught me everything I know about my current business, or most of it, he has even something as simple as having cleaners in and personal chefs, so he can focus on his core business and get the results that he's good at. So that's my input.
Yeah. So you bring skills from other areas into what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Ivan, have you used collaborations with your business?
And not only do I use it, Adrienne, but I actually would recommend it. I think what happens is that a lot of people think that they can do everything in business, and in fact, I hate to say it, but we can't. And it really comes at a cost when you work it out. If you're a specialist in your own area, then to have other people who can collaborate with you, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And if you have to reinvent the wheel, you're going to, like John said, you're going to spend more time on doing things that are really is going to cost you. So whilst you're reinventing or you're trying to learn something that's new within your business, then you're not working on your business or in your business. So you really do need to be very, very clear and set yourself goals, which we're talking about later, obviously, but
Yes.
you need to be able to set those standards and go, what is this really going to cost me if I'm going to do this? Not only in time, but you remember time is money. So when you amortize those costs, then you could be potentially losing out on other issues. When you consider that small businesses spend something like about 60% of their time on administration, then that cost is very, very hard to retrieve. And if you don't work, if you do work on that 60% rule, then you are going to impinge on other time, in your own time, or me time, your family time, or etc. So collaboration to me is probably the best way to be, because there are other people out there who have more skills than you do and utilise that cost and pay for it. It's worth it.
Yes. Well, fantastic points there, Ivan. We'll move on to the second question, and if you'd like to discuss this a bit further, is clarifying the team goals important?
Oh, very much so. You know, I think when this is the one thing that I'm writing about currently at the moment, if you don't have any direction on where you want to go, then you're just not going to end up. It's like, I know where I want to end up to, where I want my end of my goal is, but I also need to know where the journey is. And it's like no difference to when you get into your car and you set that particular task to go from one side of one part of the country to the other, and you use the GPS. And those GPS will give you specific breakdown, very, very micro directions and how to get there. Yeah. So not only do you need to know how that's done, but also your team. If you don't have your team, if your team understands in the direction that you're going, then you are outlining honesty and you're being authentic with those teams, and everyone knows where the direction is. If you don't, then you'll get no result, or the result will be a lot more difficult. It's like trying to push a car up a hill. Very, very difficult to do.
Yes.
And it takes a lot more time. So once again, and I don't mean to be talking about money all the time, but it does have a cost to your business if you don't collaborate with the team that you've got, and all the team must need to know the direction you're going in. Not only do I think you need to do that, but also you need to consider that they need to be a part or a stakeholder in those team goals. Because if you do that, then they become responsible for their particular input, and they'd feel like that they're part of it, rather than, oh dear, I know I can't make that goal, or there's negativity in their way. And John can probably elaborate more on that, but it will change the behaviour, it will change the environment, and it will change the culture if you don't outline those team goals.
Yeah. So, John, how do you think this goal setting impacts on the behaviour of people within the group?
Look, I think I totally agree with what Ivan has said so far, and from the I guess the mindset point of view, it allows people to also identify, is this a team that they want to be part of? If you are, say, collaborating with another business, or just within the actual business goals themselves, is the vision of the business, the goals of the business, are they in alignment with all employees within your business? You may have some people that have a different team goal, and it might be time for them to say goodbye to them, or say goodbye to, say, a joint venture or collaboration. With any partnership, it's so crucial to have goals that are in line, whether it be a relationship, towards a relationship with a significant other, or business itself. Having those goals will give you that drive, will give you that vision. Yes. When it's 6 o'clock in the morning and it's the middle of winter and it's freezing cold outside, and you've got to get that report ready. If your vision and goal is big enough, you'll get up in the morning and want to go out there and do it. So, yes. Very, very important players in terms of people's psychology.
Yes, motivation to make it happen.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, just quickly on saying that, and it's just recently I came across something that I'm maybe entering to myself and later on, but it's called employment proposition, and it works on engagement. And I think that if you've got people who are engaged in what they want to do, then the success will come a lot quicker than not. Mm-hmm. For instance, when you look at the way things are done, then if you've got your audience, or you've got your people engaged with you, then it will become successful. And I recently read somewhere it says, if someone works you just for the money, then they will take your money. If they work for you because they believe in what you believe in and what they do, then they will give you blood, sweat and tears. And I think that really sums it up quite well. Engagement, and another thing is really understanding your team. And some of the testing tools that I've just recently looked at, this employment proposition tool works in that way, and it becomes an honesty tool, which is a very, very good, makes it really good, a lot of sense to use something like that.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. Okay, well, what we've been talking about has sort of been covered, but do collaborators need to have similar skill sets or different? John, what do you think?
Look, I think initially there needs to be some element of crossover, just so you can use the same language. And I'll use the example again of, say, having a digital marketing strategy, collaborating with a business that will help with my digital marketing strategy. If I actually have an IT background myself, so that means that I can work with digital marketing agencies quite well because I know the language, I know the speak, and I have a basic skill set myself.
Yes.
I'm a big believer in if you are bringing somebody on board that you have no skills, or collaborating with someone you have no skill sets at all, at least do a bit of cross-talk to skill set each other up, so you can start to speak the same language and start to communicate effectively as well.
What about you, Ivan? Do you think they need to be
I,
different
I,
or similar, or?
no, I think you're right. And as a business owner, that you need to know that first of all, you need to know the direction that you want to go into. Then you need to identify the things that you may not be the specialist in, but you also do need to have some sort of understanding, as John was saying before. To me, if you look at a team and you look at the way in the team, and if you've got all forwards or you've got all backs or you've got all wingmen, then the team's not going to progress either. You don't have anything defensive, you don't have any attacking situations. So, but it doesn't mean that necessarily you can't play those positions, that you should become a specialist. But I believe that overall that you need to have a great understanding as a team leader, have an overarching opinion and an understanding of what you require. Then what you do is you slot in the things that are weak, and you make sure that those people who have got a greater strength than you master those skills and help you with those skills, and by making sure that your business is successful. Because if your business is successful, is the more that it grows, the more that you can employ other people. And I think that's what it's about making sure that your team is happy and you've got great retention. So, and people like to be included, and I think that's the most important part of it.
Yes, and everybody can, collaborators bring their own skill sets to the table, so what one person may not be strong in, the other person may be, so it builds a much stronger network. There's a saying that one person can do so much, but a team can achieve so much more because there's so many different skills and abilities, and they can achieve more from that. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you only got to think about it. You've got to think about it in this way, Adrian, too. If you go to a doctor, and a doctor who has a great limited skill right across the board, but doesn't necessarily become a specialist. A heart specialist is totally different to an orthopaedic surgeon, and so on. Yes. And so they have these specialties. So what they need to do is the doctor still has an understanding, a local GP, but by sending you to the specialist, that's where you're going to get the right treatment. And I believe that your business should be founded very, very similar. You go to the specialist that can make sure that the operation is successful.
Yes, that's a great analogy. Yeah, thanks, Alvin. Yeah. Well, our last, fourth question is, what is the ideal approach to coordinate collaboration? John?
I think I haven't touched on it just previously. There does need to be a person in a leadership role where they are the overarching overseer of the whole process. I.e., they're the one that's installed the vision. They're the one that's keeping the goal and the vision alive. I do like your analogy, Ivan, of say having the GP as, say, the leadership figure, and bringing in a set of specialists to then achieve that specific goal or outcome. There's always got to be the goal set initially. Lots of open communication and regular communication, and for all those who are listening, I'm sure you understand the 4 stages of a team. The forming, norming, storming, and performing. Being able to be prepared and be open and honest to have some tough dialogue when times are needed, and having that, once again, that overarching figure to be able to control that and keep everyone on track.
And it's a very, very valid point. But the 2 things that I think about that is engagement and communication. And I think you also need to understand the people in your team and how you deliver it. For instance, there are some people that prefer verbal. Some people will learn from listening. Some people will do it from doing. So when you understand that element of who your team members are, then you will get a better communication skill. It's interesting, words in communication only allow about 7% of the communication. When you look at the whole pie, there are other things like your hand movements, your gestures, your tone of voice, and things like that will make quite a difference to the team. So sometimes when you need to do this, it's better off not doing it maybe in an individual thing. You certainly might have to have an individual conversation with the person, especially about their specialty, and it really doesn't reflect on the other team. But as an overall team, I think that you need to make sure that it is monitored, it is evaluated and monitored, and don't be afraid to reward people. You know, in great sports people or whatever, you know, you will see the team, if they're successful, they will reward. So with collaboration, if they set small little targets on the way through and communicate what they will be and where your expectation is, and once they reach that expectation, make sure that you reward them. A pat on the back means volume, sometimes more than just a thank you, the monetary. It's not always about finance. And just one more is that when you do have people, John was saying about the forming norming and storming, just remember also that some people will leave the team, and if you do that, you need to monitor that well in collaboration as well. You need to make sure that people understand what the strategy is in place when someone is leaving. I call this the adjoining phase, and what you do is then you make people, you engage them by telling them what your new strategy is and the type of person that you're looking to replace them. That will make sure that collaboration is successful, because if you do it as an individual thing, one-on-one, then there becomes Chinese whispers and people will start feeling a bit nervous and a bit uptight about it. Agree, John?
Totally agree, totally.
As the final question for today, I asked this question to each of the interviewees, and that's, as business owners, what is your advice about promoting your business by speaking? Ivan.
Adrienne, I just think that in any opportunity that you can give to speak, and an opportunity, I think it's a great thing. I think doing hangouts is a good thing. I must admit that very, very comfortable in a large crowd and networking and all those things make a big difference. But using things like video, and I think that will also make a difference. And the one thing is that the way that we met, Adrienne, was through from your business, and I realised that if done poorly in a video, then it can actually discredit you. But if you've done it well, then it will give you more credit. So speaking out by utilising mediums and social media like Hangouts, videos, and all those other things that you can be used is very, very important, because the networking part of your business is so important. And to utilise social media. Communication is the key to success, and the communication is the success to give you success, and that helps you engage your audience, engage the staff. So it's very, very important to keep communicating, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, networking and getting out there
Yep.
and communicating. That's great advice. Thanks, Ivan. John, what's the approach that you use?
Look, I'm the same. I started off by using every opportunity to get out there and speak, and I'll just add in, as a speaker, it positions yourself as authority, expert within your specific niche. I started off by approaching my local Lions and Rotary clubs. They would have, say, a Sunday morning breakfast, and they got guest speakers. Sometimes you're able to go there for 20 minutes. Sometimes it's being able to speak for an hour or so. And it's really just getting out there and practicing the art of presenting, getting a message across that you're passionate about, and also utilising your networks. I was lucky enough to have a couple of key networks, people I've just met through the years, giving them a quick ring, and you'd be amazed the number of people who are happy to have a specialist come in and even speak to their people in their team in their workplace environment as well.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a Friday afternoon over a few beers,
Yes.
It's getting out there, speaking, positioning yourself as an expert, and getting feedback from your audience as well. We all know YouTube is the biggest TV station on the planet, so getting the videos out there as well. But yeah, definitely getting out there and doing the face-to-face, getting some interaction with people will really position you as an expert.
Yes. Oh, well, there's some fantastic advice. Thanks to both of you. That's wonderful. Now, to finish, we're just going to talk a bit about our Business Speakers Forum, and this is an example of a collaboration, and the three of us are working on building a business community, and we've titled it the Business Speakers Forum. John, would you like to talk a bit about your specialties and what you're looking forward to speaking about at the Business Speakers Forum?
Absolutely. So as we've mentioned at the start, I'm positioned as the mindset for business and looking at the psychology of business. Something that I in my experience see as something that tends to be overlooked, especially for small business owners. A statement that I hear quite often from people that I've learned through who teach business is the fish always stinks from the head down. So the person at the top of the business who has the goal, who has the vision of the business, if their underlying psychological framework has elements of sabotage in it, that's going to filter out throughout the whole business. So say, for example, I'll give a funny one. Say the classic example of childhood patterning around money. I remember as a kid in the playground at primary school, whenever I found 20 cents in the playground, and you probably remember this yourself, you'd go off and I would buy 20 chocolate buds. So I would have this psychology of whenever I had money in my pocket, it was a chance to get excited and go off and spend some money. Now that pattern played out throughout my life, throughout my adult life as well, until I actually did some NLP training and realised that that's what the pattern was. But you could imagine if that pattern had never been identified and that went into business, my business would leak money. And I'm sure there's businesses out there that can identify that. Why is my business leaking money? And it's those little psychological foundations that you can address, you can patch up and install some new behaviours. So that's what I'm all about, identifying those little psychological sabotages and getting them working so they're in alignment with your business.
Great. Oh, sounds fabulous. So, Ivan, corporate business approaches. What are you?
I must admit, I'm going to about the fish from the head from the fish down, John. I really like that analogy. That's a good one. I like that. That'll go in there. Well, my background is corporate business and media and communication. One of the things is that, a lot of people build teams, then they don't work with the teams or they don't communicate, they don't engage with those teams. And it's a really, really important thing that to have success, you need to be very collaborative, you need to be open, and you need to be transparent. The one thing that I like to talk about is team leadership, the way to build a team and to ensure that the team is successful. The other thing is that I do is it has a synergy with what John does. I also do a lot of corporate behaviour and I utilise Everything DISC, and that's a really good tool to use. The other new tool that I'd also like to talk about is about employment proposition, and it's a tool of making sure that the culture fits and give you an answer, and I will elaborate on it in due course. But I think the most important thing for where I sit is about communication and effective communication, because we waste so much time on second guessing what happens in the business that we lose sight of what we're there for. And I think if you can streamline that from having a really good business plan, and that comes from the fish's head, John, right through to the right down to the last person. If everyone in that team knows what they're doing, then we'll succeed. So for me, it'll be about team building, understanding the different profiles within that team, talking maybe about the sales and the sales leadership of the team, and communicating. And that is a really the crux of what I will be talking about a lot of this throughout this year.
Well, it all sounds fantastic, and there's so much information and topics that are going to be covered that's it's very exciting to get this started. My side is going to be the presentation skills side, and looking at how presentations are put together, what audiences are wanting from their presenters, uh, ways of keeping people's attention. That's a big part of delivering a presentation, and also part of the style, the way that we communicate, and the body language and the vocal variety and that sort of thing we can have a look at. The other opportunity that would be there is that if people want to create short videos, we'll be able to do that actually during the evening. So thank you to Ivan and John for attending today. It's been fabulous to hear your approaches to the power of collaborating. I'm looking forward to collaborating with you on the Business Speakers Forum. We've got it first starting on the 13th of February at 6:15 at the Chatswood Club, and the topics of goal setting, business planning, and what audiences are looking for from their presentations are areas that I think will benefit business owners across the board. Really, we all need to develop and grow in these areas, so it'll be fabulous. I'm looking forward to it. So just to finish, thanks John, thanks Ivan for your participation, and thank you to our listeners for attending.